I want to know, do you consider yourself a product of a third culture, Iranian, American at the same time, and then the result of both cultures?
Absolutely. I'm a weird mix of the two. And unlike a lot of Iranians who grow up here, I actually spent a lot of time back in Iran, both for education and to see my family. So I surely am a hybrid of the two.
How important is it to have that richness? I mean, it's a very rich background. I mean, Iran has I mean, the culture of Iran is amazing, and then you live in the US, so it's a wonderful combination of experiences, I guess.
And yet they're always at war with each other, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very different. Tell me, what brought you into filmmaking? I know that you didn't have any, well, yeah, you had point of references of Iranian filmmakers, female filmmakers, and you went to a festival and you saw two of them, and then you thought, I want to be a storyteller, or what happened?
I think I come from a family of storytellers. I come from a long line of female storytellers, particularly my grandmother. I was not going into film. When I was a student at Northwestern in Chicago, in Evanston, I went to a film series called Films from Iran. I didn't even know women could be directors. The only woman director I ever knew was Penny Marshall, and she had done Big. But I went to this festival and I bought a pass, and I would sit all day, watch these films. And half of the directors they brought from Iran were women. And that really first put the first idea into my head. And then Shireen, who was an Iranian artist who lives in America, was doing her first installations at the Art Institute, another idea. And then when 9/11 happened, I kind of decided to put away academia and go into film. I felt it was like the right time to try to have voices from our part of the world. And then when Trump came, it made me even more adamant that I should do something about my own culture. But more than anything, I wanted people to connect to these people from the Muslim ban and all this xenophobic, we started to become afraid of immigrants, even though it's a country of immigrants. So I wanted people to connect with my crazy immigrant family. And more than anything, I wanted to show that I am American, as much as, you have a white American from South Carolina. I'm as American. I'm born in Brooklyn. I come from two cultures. Being from two cultures and being able to keep your old culture and your new culture, that's something very American. I think in Europe, they struggle more with this concept, because when you go to France, you're supposed to be French. You're supposed to leave behind all those ideas. But in America, it is part of our culture to maintain those two identities. So I decided after what was going on with Trump that it was important for me to voice what I was to be American, and to do it with humor and fun.
Tell us a little about the story in few words, so I don't have to introduce it on the YouTube channel.
Well, it's a story about me and it's a semi-autobiographical comedy about my mother and I's struggle to try to communicate. And at the beginning of the film, we're estranged. We're not really talking, but my father is having a heart transplant. So all of my siblings, 8 siblings, and my mother are going to the hospital. And I'm asked to take care of my grandmother because I'm very close to her. And while I'm taking care of her, she says, "Do you want to know why your parents came to America?" And of course, we all know our immigration story, but she lets me know that that's all a bunch of BS. And the truth is, my family was escaping scandal. So in a playful way, we trace the story of these 3 women through different generations back in Iran and in America to try to understand what the secret is. And why does this family want a daughter so bad? I came after 8 sons.
Wow. So finally,
Poor mom, just keep going. In real life, I have 7 brothers. In this film, I have 8, so it's fictional.
But wait, what was your mother's reaction? I read that you were a little concerned about what was she went to.
Terrified. Forget about Variety. I'm more worried about mom. The first film of mine, she said after the premiere at Sundance, when it won Sundance, "Oh, you do this to hurt me." So I didn't have high expectations. We were at the screening and my brothers were there. They were super happy. I couldn't find my mom at the after party. I couldn't find my mom. 200 people dancing. I'm talking to my agent, my lawyer, and my mom comes up and grabs my face, and I think she's going to slap me. But it'd be very humiliating for an adult. But she actually said, "You did us justice." So it was really beautiful.
That is so wonderful.
Review from mom. I think we've always been told that we can't talk about these stories, that we have this thing called saving face. You know, we can't take away this idea of shame. But, you know, when my mother became the matriarch, my father died years ago, her mother died. When she became the head of the family, she had 7 granddaughters. She said, it's time that, you know, we tell our own stories and put aside the shame.
What, how did you cast the film?
Oh my God, it's crazy, right? It's only 100 speaking roles. Every character.
So many actors and narrations and all that.
They're all so amazing, but for me, the highlights are the young girl. Sorry, the young girl who plays my mother at 14. I actually cast a girl from Iran. She turned 14 on set during the shooting because I wanted someone who was as innocent and naive as my mother. Niousha Noor, who also plays the mother as an adult, 30 years with the mother, and does the song at the end and choreographs some of the sequences, is a actress who came here when she was 13, has been struggling in the industry to get a lead role. And then Layla Mohammadi, who plays Layla, is a great comedian that I found in the last minute. And then, of course, the grandmother is the most hilarious woman ever. And she's a very well-known theater actress in San Francisco. She came to America in the 70s. And I had seen her at a film in Rotterdam. So, and then the brothers are from all over the world. We're all Iranians in the UK or in the Netherlands or in Canada, America. The only thing that you had to do to have the role, obviously, you had to be bicultural. That was an important aspect of the
diaspora.
Exactly. And everyone really invested in making this film because they felt it was also their story. And there's never been a film like this ever.
It's really beautiful to make justice, if you want, to your own culture and to the culture in which you're part to the new culture.
I've never seen anything that, I grew up in America and I would look at Asian American films. I loved Ang Lee, or I loved Joy Luck Club, or I like Martin Scorsese, or Mira Nair did Mississippi Masala, or Spike Lee, but I never felt anything really reflected my culture. We were always called terrorists growing up. And personally, I don't know any terrorists, so I figure, my brothers terrorized me. I don't know if that counts. We only had one bathroom. So I just wanted to do something that was more humorous, and it's, like spending a day with my family.
Also, there's a huge movement in Iran that is being led by women after the terrible incident with the lady who died. And
the Nobel Prize winner is a female feminist activist who's been in jail and hasn't seen her own children in 10 years. And Layla Mohammadi. And I come from a long line of women. It's not just this regime. Even from my mother's era, women have been fighting for their rights. And I'm really honored to be part of that history. And honestly, all of my films are about women who don't follow the rules, be it in America, be it in Iran, even from my first short, be it in Argentina, my first short, El Dia que Morí, it's also about a girl who doesn't adhere to the norms. All of my stories are about that. I like women. I think most women, if you want to be true to yourself, you can't accept what society or the law tells you is the truth. You have to find your own way.
We all need to fight the oppression of the system in a way.
I think this shows that, the patriarchy that we have to fight, the system we have to fight. It's not to do only with Iran. We have that here. We have that all over the world. This is a universal issue.
So, what would you like people to bring home after watching your film that is opening soon?
It opens next week.
Yeah.
I hope, the film is about accepting people that are different than us, especially in our own family. The mother and daughter are so different. They have some different worlds, but I think they find a way to love each other and accept each other. I hope people leave and call their moms or children or brothers and sisters and understand, it's okay to be different. And more than anything, I hope they leave with a sense of joy and fun about our culture, something you've never seen.
It was very nice and very fun. I love Iranian films, but I've seen films from Iran.
It's not an Iranian film, right? It's only the mother section. Like every section has a different style, right? The mother, the daughter is like 80s, 90s pop. The grandmother is the spaghetti Western. And only the mother's story is more like the Kiarostami typical story. So we play with genre a lot in the film.
But there's an incredible, very intense film culture in Iran.
Of course, yeah. And poetry culture and literature. You Take a cab and
architecture.
he'll recite you a poem. You take a cab, he'll ask you about history or the last film you've seen. It's a very educated
Totally.
it's a very educated culture.